Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that celebrates success yet quietly excuses failure. Every bookshop shelf, every podcast feed, and every motivational reel promises the secret to success. Yet, still, only a sliver of humanity, perhaps 2%, ever reaches the level of genuine, lasting achievement. The other 98% live their lives just surviving, not thriving. They drift, they dream, but they rarely do. Why? Let's peel away the slogans and face the truth. Success is not hidden in luck. It is not the privilege of the wealthy, nor the favor of fate. Success is the inevitable harvest of specific seeds: discipline, conviction, integrity, and endurance. Those who plant them reap a life of fruitfulness. Those who don't simply don't. The first reason only 2% succeed is clarity of purpose. Most people wander through life without knowing where they're going. They have wishes, not goals. They have desires, not direction. A man without a map cannot complain when he's lost. The successful know where they are headed, why they are going there, and what it will cost to get there. They have written their purpose not only on paper, but on their hearts. The 98% say, I want to be successful, but they never define what that means. Their goals change with the weather and their convictions with the crowd. The 2% say, this is who I am. This is what I'm called to do. And nothing will move me off that path. The second reason 2% succeed is discipline. Not the kind that merely gets up early, but the kind that refuses to quit when it's no longer convenient. Discipline is not glamorous. It is often lonely. It is doing what must be done long after the feeling has faded. The 98% start strong, but their fire dies the moment the wind of difficulty blows. They are committed to comfort, not calling. The successful live by a higher law. I will do what is right, not what is easy. They do not make excuses. They do not negotiate with laziness. Their consistency becomes their character, and their character becomes their destiny. Third, 2% succeed because they have mastered the art of focus. The average person's attention is fractured across distractions, screens, noise, opinions, endless comparisons. They are pulled in every direction but their own. The successful, on the other hand, guard their attention as if it were gold. They understand that scattered effort produces scattered results. They say no to many good things so they can say yes to the best thing. You cannot chase success while constantly checking who's ahead of you. The 2% are not competing. They are concentrating. They know that focus turns potential into power. Fourth, the 2% embrace responsibility. The unsuccessful spend their lives pointing fingers at the government, their boss, the economy, their upbringing, or bad luck. But the successful look in the mirror and say, if it's going to be, it's up to me. Responsibility is the birthplace of growth. You cannot change what you will not own. Responsibility demands humility. The humility to admit mistakes, to learn to grow, and to improve. The 98% want results without refinement, gain without growth, success without sacrifice. But responsibility is the price of progress, and the 2% pay it willingly. Fifth, 2% succeed because they honor time. Time is the one resource every human being receives equally, yet it is the most abused. The 98% wasted in trivial pursuits, hours scrolled away, days lost to procrastination, years spent waiting for someday. The successful understand that someday is not on the calendar. They redeem their time, treating every day as a trust, every moment as a gift, every hour as an investment. If you would be among the 2%, learn to say, I cannot afford to waste my life on what does not matter. The clock is ticking and life does not refund lost time. 6, 2% succeed because they live by values, not emotions. The majority are ruled by moods. The minority are ruled by principles. The 98% let their emotions dictate their decisions. If they feel motivated, they act. If they don't, they quit. The successful have learned to make choices anchored in conviction, not convenience. They act their way into feeling rather than feel their way into acting. Seventh, 2% succeed because they seek truth, not trends. The world constantly changes its definitions of success. Money, fame, applause, pleasure. But truth never changes. The 2% know that true success is not measured by possessions, but by purpose. Not by what you have, but by who you are. You can have everything the world offers and still be empty. The successful understand that character is the foundation of every enduring achievement. Without integrity, success is just a mirage. Finally, 2% succeed because they persevere. Every worthwhile dream encounters resistance, failure, criticism, delay, disappointment. Most give up when the road gets rough. The successful press on when others walk away. They understand that the darkest nights often precede the brightest mornings. They don't interpret hardship as a signal to stop, but as proof they're on the right path. Success is never accidental. It is the cumulative result of small, consistent, often unseen acts of faithfulness. The 2% are not superhuman. They are simply steadfast. They fail, yes, but they rise again. They fall short, but they keep moving. They do not measure their worth by the ease of the journey, but by the strength of their resolve. So, why do 2% succeed and 98% don't? Because the few choose what the many avoid. They choose discipline over ease, purpose over pleasure, principle over popularity, and perseverance over pity. They are not waiting for perfect conditions. They are making progress with what they have. And here is the beautiful truth. The gate to that 2% is not locked. Anyone can walk through it, but few will. Because the entry fee is personal transformation. You must lay down excuses, bury laziness, and crucify fear. You must replace wishful thinking with deliberate action and fleeting emotion with unshakable conviction. Real success is not a secret. It's a standard. It's not hidden. It's ignored. And it belongs not to the talented, but to the tenacious. So I ask you today, will you be counted among the 98 or will you rise into the 2? The choice is yours, and it always has been. Clarity of purpose separates the wanderers from the winners. It is the dividing line between those who drift through life and those who direct their lives. Most people never fail because they are incapable. They fail because they are unclear. They wake up each morning reacting to life rather than leading it. They let circumstances shape their choices instead of allowing conviction to shape their direction. Without clarity, energy is scattered, time is wasted, and potential is lost. Success begins the moment a person decides with absolute certainty what they are living for and why. Clarity of purpose is not merely having a goal, it is possessing an inner compass that never stops pointing north. No matter how dark the path becomes, the wanderers ask, what should I do today? The winners declare, this is what I must do, no matter what comes. When you are clear about your purpose, distractions lose their power. Temptations that once drew your attention begin to feel small. Every yes you give carries meaning, and every no you make has conviction behind it. A person with purpose does not need motivation every morning. Purpose itself becomes the engine that drives them forward. Those without clarity are always busy but rarely productive. They confuse motion with progress, effort with effectiveness. They chase every opportunity because they have never defined which one truly matters. The world will always offer 1,000 directions, but clarity gives you one. It filters your choices, guides your energy, and anchors your focus. Without it, you become a prisoner to the opinions and expectations of others. You live reacting to their voices instead of responding to your own calling. Clarity is not found in noise, it is born in silence. It requires honest self-examination, the courage to ask hard questions, and the humility to listen for truth. What do I value most? What kind of person must I become to fulfill that purpose? What am I willing to give up to gain what truly matters? These questions cut through the fog of distraction and reveal direction. A person who never pauses to reflect will never progress with intention. Clarity of purpose transforms ordinary people into extraordinary leaders. History is filled with examples of men and women who achieved greatness not because they had perfect plans, but because they had unwavering purpose. They knew why they were here, and that why fueled their resilience when others quit. Purpose sharpens your vision until you can see possibilities others overlook. It strengthens your will until obstacles become stepping stones. It turns confusion into confidence and hesitation into action. When your purpose is clear, every challenge becomes meaningful. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start saying, this is shaping me. You interpret pain differently because you understand it. It is part of the process. You stop chasing approval because you no longer need permission to pursue what you were created for. Clarity gives you authority over your own life. It silences fear. It steadies emotion, and it summons courage. The wanderers look for quick wins and instant validation, but the winners are patient because they see further. They measure success not by the day, but by destiny. They are not easily discouraged by delay, for they know their direction is right. Even in seasons of waiting, their purpose sustains them. While others are distracted by noise, they keep their eyes fixed on the horizon. Clarity of purpose also simplifies decision making. Every choice either aligns with your purpose or opposes it. When you know your why, the what and how become clear, it becomes easier to prioritize, to plan, and to persevere. Clarity transforms chaos into order. It tells you what to pursue and what to release, what to build and what to break. Most people feel overwhelmed not because life is too complex, but because their purpose is too vague. Clarity is power. It is the quiet force that steadies the heart and focuses the mind. It removes confusion, fuels consistency, and creates conviction. It does not make life easier, but it makes every struggle worthwhile. A person with clarity can endure storms because they know which shore they're sailing toward. Without it, even calm waters feel uncertain. Those who live without clarity spend their lives trying to please everyone, only to end up pleasing no one, not even themselves. Those with clarity live for something greater than approval, comfort, or gain. They live for meaning, and meaning gives life weight, direction, and strength. When purpose is clear, every day becomes intentional, every effort becomes directed, and every action builds towards something eternal. Discipline is doing what must be done long after the feeling has faded. It is the unseen foundation beneath every great life, every enduring success, every strong character. Talent may open the door, but discipline keeps it open. Emotion may ignite the spark, but discipline keeps the fire burning when the winds of difficulty blow. It is the ability to stand firm when comfort calls you to sit down, to persist when passion has run dry, and to choose consistency over convenience again and again. The greatest victories in life are not achieved by those who feel inspired every day, but by those who act with purpose even when inspiration is gone. Feelings are fickle. They change with the weather. One day you feel unstoppable. The next you feel defeated. Discipline is the bridge that carries you safely across those emotional storms. It teaches you that success is not a matter of mood, but of method. The disciplined person understands that motivation is unreliable, but commitment never fails. They do not ask, do I feel like it? They ask, is it right? Is it necessary? Does it serve my purpose? Discipline is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the quiet training of the soul that turns potential into performance. It is the athlete rising before dawn to practice. The student studying long after others have gone to sleep. The craftsman perfecting his skill while no one is watching. The undisciplined want results without repetition, reward without routine, success without sacrifice. But discipline teaches that greatness is not built in a moment of glory. It is built in countless moments of obedience. The reward is not only in what you achieve, but in what you become through the process. When discipline takes root, mediocrity loses its grip. It changes the way you think, the way you work, the way you live. You begin to trust yourself because you have proven that you can follow through. You begin to respect yourself because you know you have paid the price that success demands. Discipline creates dignity. It gives you authority over your own impulses and control over your own time. While others waste their days in excuses, the discipline quietly builds something lasting. Discipline is not found in intensity, but in consistency. Anyone can work hard for a day. Few can persist for years. The disciplined person understands that success is not an event, but a habit. They do not wait for opportunity. They prepare for it. Each small act of discipline is a declaration: I will not be ruled by laziness, fear, or distraction. Every repetition, every routine, every refusal to quit strengthens the muscles of the will. And when the day comes that others falter, the disciplined stand firm, not because they are stronger by nature, but because they have trained themselves to endure. Discipline requires a long view of life. It demands that you trade what you want now for what you want most. It is the art of delay, the maturity to wait for the greater reward. The world teaches instant gratification, but the disciplined know that quick pleasure often leads to lasting regret. They are willing to suffer the momentary discomfort of doing what is hard because they see the joy that lies beyond it. Every act of discipline is a seed sown for a future harvest. Those who neglect it reap frustration and stagnation. Those who embrace it reap confidence and growth. There is a quiet strength in discipline, a peace that comes from structure. The undisciplined are constantly at war with themselves, pulled between desire and duty, between what they want and what they know they should do. Discipline brings alignment between purpose and practice. It frees the mind from chaos and gives focus to every effort. It transforms dreams into plans, plans into actions, and actions into results. Discipline is the difference between wishing and winning. It does not rely on applause or approval. It thrives in solitude where effort goes unseen and progress is slow. It teaches patience, humility, and perseverance. It hardens the will while softening the ego. It demands that you show up not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Discipline builds momentum, and momentum builds mastery. The more you obey your commitments, the stronger your conviction becomes. Discipline is a promise you make to yourself and keep. It is the daily decision to be faithful, not because anyone is watching, but because you have chosen to live with integrity. It is the proof that you can govern your life, direct your path, and fulfill your potential. Those who master discipline master themselves, and those who master themselves can master anything. Focus turns potential into power. It is the rare quality that transforms effort into excellence, motion into momentum, and dreams into tangible achievement. The human mind has limitless potential, yet most of it is wasted through distraction. Focus is the ability to direct all your energy, time, and attention toward what truly matters while ignoring the noise that clamors for your attention. Without focus, even the most gifted become scattered. With focus, even the simplest can become strong. In a world overflowing with information, noise, and endless comparison, focus has become a superpower. Everywhere you turn, there is something pulling at your attention. Notifications, opinions, advertisements, and entertainment designed to keep your mind divided. The average person lives in a constant state of interruption, and as a result, never reaches depth in anything. Focus demands separation. It requires you to say no to 1,000 little things so you can say yes to the one thing that carries meaning. It is not about doing more, but doing what matters most fully and without compromise. Focus is clarity in motion. It is seeing through the fog of distraction and locking your eyes on the path ahead. When you are focused, obstacles shrink, noise fades, and your pace becomes steady. The unfocused jump from idea to idea, from one opportunity to another, chasing novelty instead of mastery. They spend their lives starting things, but rarely finishing anything. The focused, however, understand that greatness is born not from endless beginnings, but from patient endurance. They pour themselves completely into one direction until it bears fruit. Focus is also an act of respect. Respect for your purpose, your time, and your potential. When you allow distractions to consume your attention, you are giving away pieces of your future. Every moment spent on what doesn't matter is a moment stolen from what does. Focus teaches you to guard your energy as you would guard treasure. It forces you to prioritize, to choose what is essential and eliminate what is not. The mind that is disciplined to focus becomes sharp like a blade. It cuts through confusion and hesitation with precision. Focus is not merely concentration, it is commitment. It means staying with something long after the excitement fades, keeping your eyes fixed on the goal even when progress feels invisible. The focused person learns to love repetition, to embrace the grind, to find purpose in patience. They understand that excellence is built in the hidden hours of undivided attention. Each time they resist distraction, they strengthen their control over themselves. Each time they stay engaged while others drift, they move closer to mastery. Focus also requires courage. The courage to be misunderstood, to be different, to walk away from what dilutes your mission. The world rewards multitasking, but true achievement belongs to the single-minded. The one who focuses deeply often appears slower, but in the end, they go further because their efforts accumulate in one direction. They refuse to be pulled apart by the temporary or trivial. Their eyes are fixed, their priorities are clear, and their steps are deliberate. Focus simplifies life. It brings peace where there was confusion and order where there was chaos. The unfocused mind is restless, always moving, but never arriving. Focus gives you presence. It anchors you in the moment, allowing your best self to show up completely. Whether in work, study, or relationships, people feel the difference when your attention is undivided. It communicates value, intention, and integrity. Distraction is the enemy of destiny. Every dream that has ever died was buried beneath a pile of distractions. Focus resurrects purpose. It keeps you awake to your calling, guarding it from being diluted by what doesn't matter. The more focused you become, the more powerful your actions grow. Like sunlight concentrated through a lens, your energy, when directed with precision, can ignite change. Focus transforms ordinary ability into extraordinary impact. True focus is not rigid, but resilient. It adapts when life shifts, but it never loses sight of the mission. It bends without breaking, refines without retreating. It sees interruptions not as excuses, but as tests of commitment. Each day requires a decision to refocus, to renew the mind, and to redirect the will toward what counts most. When focus governs your life, your potential ceases to scatter. It gathers, it strengthens, it ignites. Responsibility is the price of progress. It is the mark of maturity, the proof of character, and the beginning of all growth. The moment a person takes ownership of their life, they move from being a passenger to becoming the pilot. Responsibility means refusing to live as a victim of circumstance. It means standing up and saying, I will no longer blame, I will no longer excuse, I will no longer wait for someone else to change my life. The world is filled with people who wish for better outcomes, but few who are willing to take ownership of creating them. Responsibility separates those who wish from those who work, those who complain from those who contribute. The irresponsible mind looks outward for answers, but the responsible one looks inward. The irresponsible says, "It's not my fault," while the responsible says, "It's my problem, and I will face it." Progress begins the moment blame ends. Every time you shift responsibility away from yourself, you surrender control over your future. You give your power to circumstances, to other people, to the past. But when you accept responsibility, you reclaim authority over your own destiny. It does not mean you are guilty of everything that happens to you, but it means you are accountable for how you respond. Responsibility demands courage. It is not easy to admit when you are wrong, to acknowledge your weaknesses, or to face the consequences of your choices. It is far easier to hide behind excuses, to point fingers, or to pretend. But those who grow, those who rise, are those who refuse to live in denial. Responsibility says, yes, I made a mistake, but I will learn. Yes, I failed, but I will begin again. This attitude turns failure into fuel. The irresponsible see failure as final. The responsible see it as formative. They understand that progress requires humility, and humility begins where excuses end. Responsibility transforms your mindset. Instead of asking, "Who will help me?" you begin to ask, "What can I do?" Instead of waiting for perfect conditions, you work with what you have. Responsibility moves you from dependence to initiative. It builds resilience because it teaches you that your future is not left to chance, but choice. You start to live with intention, not reaction. Every decision becomes a reflection of your ownership. You no longer drift with the current of circumstances because you have chosen to steer the course. Taking responsibility also deepens integrity. When you own your words, your actions, and your commitments, people learn to trust you. Your reliability becomes your reputation. You stop overpromising because you respect the weight of your word. Responsibility teaches consistency, the habit of following through, even when it's inconvenient. The irresponsible person makes promises easily and breaks them just as quickly. The responsible one speaks carefully and acts faithfully. Over time, this consistency builds credibility, and credibility opens doors that talent alone cannot. Responsibility requires self-awareness. You cannot manage what you do not acknowledge. It asks you to confront your patterns, your habits, and your priorities. It reveals whether you are truly in control of your time, your emotions, and your direction. Many people want freedom, but reject responsibility, not realizing that the two are inseparable. Freedom without responsibility becomes chaos. Responsibility is the structure that sustains liberty. It gives you the power to direct your own life without destroying it. The more responsible you become, the freer you are because you no longer depend on others to determine your success. Responsibility also shapes perspective. It teaches gratitude because it makes you aware of what has been entrusted to you. Your opportunities, your gifts, your relationships. When you take ownership of these blessings, you stop taking them for granted. You begin to nurture them, to invest in them, to use them well. You realize that responsibility is not a burden, but an honor. It is proof that you are trusted with something that matters. Those who live responsibly refuse to be passive observers of their own lives. They act even when it is uncomfortable. They decide even when it is difficult, and they lead even when it is costly. Responsibility turns obstacles into opportunities because it views every challenge as a call to rise higher. It transforms limitation into creativity and pressure into perseverance. It is the discipline that makes progress possible and the foundation upon which all growth stands. Perseverance is the bridge between failure and fulfillment. It is the quiet strength that carries you through seasons of difficulty, the unseen resolve that refuses to yield when every reason to quit stands before you. Perseverance is not the absence of hardship. It is the decision to continue despite it. It is endurance wrapped in faith, patience forged in fire, and hope that refuses to die. While talent begins the journey and opportunity opens doors, only perseverance finishes the race. Every great story ever written is marked by struggle. The difference between those who succeed and those who surrender is rarely intelligence or luck. It is endurance. Perseverance is the unwavering belief that the goal is worth the pain, that the promise is greater than the pressure. It does not deny exhaustion or frustration, but it chooses purpose over emotion. It is the voice that says, I may be tired, but I am not done. Perseverance transforms weakness into strength because it teaches you to keep walking even with trembling legs. It builds resilience one step at a time, teaching the heart to withstand disappointment and the mind to stay steady in uncertainty. Many start with excitement, but few endure with conviction. Perseverance does not depend on enthusiasm. It depends on commitment. It does not wait for motivation to return. It moves forward through discipline and determination. Each small act of continuing when others stop becomes a victory that shapes character. Adversity is the proving ground of perseverance. It is easy to be consistent when life is comfortable, but the true measure of resolve appears when progress slows and results seem invisible. The storms of life do not destroy perseverance. They reveal it. The persevering soul learns to walk through disappointment without losing direction, to bear rejection without losing heart, and to face delay without losing hope. Every setback becomes a teacher, every hardship a tool that strengthens the will. Perseverance also demands perspective. It requires you to see beyond the immediate, to keep your eyes fixed on what lies ahead rather than what stands in the way. The impatient want harvest without planting, reward without labor, and glory without grit. Perseverance understands that everything of value takes time. Growth is slow, progress is unseen, and maturity is costly. Yet each moment of endurance is an investment in something lasting. The one who perseveres, plants, seeds others will one day admire, but few will understand the struggle behind them. To persevere is to fight the quiet battle within, the battle against discouragement, self-doubt, and fear. It is the courage to rise after falling, to rebuild after breaking, to try again after failing. The path of perseverance is rarely glamorous. It is filled with unseen sacrifices, lonely nights, and moments of uncertainty. But while the world applauds the outcome, perseverance cherishes the process. It shapes the soul until strength becomes second nature. Perseverance refines purpose. When everything else is stripped away, what remains is your why. The one who perseveres does not continue because it is easy. They continue because it is necessary. Each trial clarifies what truly matters, revealing what is worth enduring for. This clarity becomes fuel. It keeps the fire alive even when the winds of doubt blow strong. The reward of perseverance is not merely success, but transformation. The becoming of someone stronger, wiser, and more steadfast than before. Perseverance also inspires others. Its quiet endurance speaks louder than words. People may forget your victories, but they will remember your steadfastness. They will recall how you stayed when others walked away, how you believed when others gave up. Perseverance leaves a legacy not built on ease, but on endurance. It shows that true strength is not loud or boastful, but calm, consistent, and unyielding. Every step of perseverance writes a line in the story of resilience. It proves that progress is not always visible, but is always happening in the heart that refuses to quit. It teaches that triumph is not found in never falling, but in never failing to rise again.